Well, hello. Hello, Lucy Cat. Hello, Eve. Thank you, Eve. Eve is Eve is doing her job. Hey, Dina Lynn. Hopefully you've all had a great day. I have. It's so pretty outside. So, hey, wait, what? I'll let a few more people get in. I wanted to talk about, hey, Palm, this marriage license, right? Do I have some things to say about the marriage license of Don and Candus Wells? A little story to tell about this marriage license, okay? I've got my coffee, I've got my Sprite, I've got my water, so nobody can tell me I don't drink my fluids. For sure. So, are you ladies ready to hear this? We might as well get right into it. So, this marriage license actually came up, the one that, I'll just say it, PG showed on her channel. Don't ask me how I seen it, because honest to God, you guys, I swear on a stack of Bibles, I don't watch her. For some reason, I seen that marriage license. Didn't pay any attention to what she said about it. That marriage license was gotten first by a fantastic creator. This creator was involved with Summer's case from the beginning. And if I'm not mistaken, she actually went with Chasing Truth, I think, to Tennessee to see, they seen Candace and stuff, and did some testing, with the noises and the mountains and different things like that. I enjoyed her so much. And she was, I believe her channel name was Dabble Geeks. So if y'all been around Summer's case for a long time, y'all know who I'm talking about when I'm talking about Dabble Geeks. Well, the hoopla was going around about Don and Candace's marriage license. So she got a copy of it, from my understanding, okay? And when she did, she, what is it? Hashtag people, different creators' names, right? So, she hashtagged this one creator, and they passed it on kind of a little bit later to another creator who decided that they were going to use it for content. Hey, Wing. Hey, girl. I love your live. That's why I was over there. I've been watching in the bushes, but I wanted to say hi. And so this creator gave this other creator this marriage license. Now, swear on Lord Jesus in heaven. And if I'm lying, Lord Jesus can strike me dead. So this creator who ended up with it, that wanted to make some content out of it, I was I knew this creator. Okay. I'm trying not to say this creator's name, but it's in their content from 8 months ago, around 8 months ago. So I had talked to this creator, and they're talking about this marriage license. And the way that they were talking to me about this marriage license, not the original one, not the first one, I'm talking about, you got mad last night, she was trying to tell you you was wrong, and you know you wasn't. You wasn't. So, anywho, 8 months ago, creator had it. I was speaking to this creator, and what it was sounding to me like, right, was this creator was going to put that marriage license out, and and at first was going to, the angle that they were going to go with was either the clerk's office did a not legal thing, or that the creator who got it to start with faked it. Bottom line. So I proceeded to talk to this person for like a half hour, 40 minutes, right? And I kept saying, do you really want to do this? Because this isn't going to end up well. No one in the clerk's office is going to fake a flipping marriage license about Don and Candus because it's Don and Candus, right? Clerk's office ain't going to do that. Second thing, I really don't think you want to try to say that about another creator. Definitely because of who she is, people will come for you like you've never been. They would have come for, right? So, anywho, she ended up doing a video on it, and, you know, it was like, I thought, you know, that this was, you know, human error, but I just seemed to realize that it was the computer. I mean, bullshit, right? Hey, Missy. So I'm like, whatever. So I talked to this creator, I know, almost 40 minutes. And God strike me dead if I'm lying. Finally, I said, I was getting upset because I'm like, you can't do this. You can't put that out and then act like people are doing illegal shit, right? So finally, after all that time, right? All that time, I said, what is the end result that you want? And she said, content. Lord, strike me dead if I'm fucking lying. She said content. And you know what I said? Why didn't you just say that to start with? Wasted 30 fucking minutes of my time. Don't lie to me, you know? Tell me. It was for content. But the bad part about that is, I don't even know how it got picked up by anybody else. Okay? So that fucking marriage license, and sorry, I'm already cussing, because it just ticks me off. It's like her and this other creator have been, you know, out here for a long time. She, I get so mad. It's like, come on, really? So anyhow, that marriage license was gotten, and I am almost 100% Jenny from Gabblegeeks got it. She hashtagged or whatever it is, quite a few number of creators. The creator who came out with it 8 months ago was not even hashtagged in it. Another creator that I know who's a creep passed it on to this creator who put it out 8 months ago. Right? So, and the only reason that, and I'm telling you, I don't know how much content that Gabblegeek still has about Summer Wells, but that chick is fucking amazing. So, but I don't know what she still has out there. Okay. When I said the other date could be the date a copy was made last night, she said, "No, you're wrong. That never changes. Sorry, you're wrong. There, check, you will see." Ha ha ha. Tell her to kiss your fucking ass, Lori. I'm telling you right now, that is a copy. A copy was made of that stupid license. And you know what? Why the fuck don't she check it instead of telling you you're wrong? Because obviously she didn't check into that. She just poof found it, or it was given to her. Let me tell you guys something. Some creators will get information, right? And they'll know that this information is nothing that needs to be put out there, right? And they'll pass it along to a smaller creator who's like, "Oh my God, this is fabulous. I can use this," right? But it ends up making the smaller creator look bad, is all it does. So, absolutely, 100%, don't care if I piss her off. She's fucking wrong. And you know what? Bitch, be gone. For sure. They have been married 13 years, Dina Lynn. Okay, let me, how do I want to do this? I said fill out all the time because I can marry people, so I know I'm supposed to return within 10 days. I forget I'm not fined, and the couple is still married even 10 years later. I mean, you know, it's the BBG spray. I know what you're saying, Lucy Cat. So, when I seen that, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Big hero of Summer Wells. In it for summer. And you know what? Who really even gives a shit about it? What is it? Summer's gone. Does it really fucking matter if Don and Candus are married or if Candus filed for divorce? So what's that do for Summer? Nothing. Nothing. The dumbasses lived together when Summer went missing. That's all that matters. I don't care if they're or not. Makes me no mind. But get it right before you put it out there. You know, it's a shame that you know, I was just like, I can't freaking believe this. Can't believe it. So I would say a couple creators got played, right? Because new people are coming in. But what does it do for Dawn? What does what do for Dawn, Jill? The pokey pokey? Or the copy of the marriage license? I've got it on here. I've got a picture of the original and then a picture of the copy. The only reason the creator got a copy of it to start with was because everybody was so adamant that Don and Candus weren't married. And they were. And they were. It doesn't do anything for Don. Nothing at all. Oh, because she was saying they only filed so they don't have to testify against each other in court, and they didn't file till Summer was gone. Oh, really? Let me put a tinfoil hat on, okay? I'll join the dumbasses because they're having dumbass attacks. Yeah, well, Candus don't have to testify against Don if they're legally married. They've been married for years. They were married when Summer was tiny. They didn't just get married. That marriage license with the year 2022 on it was a copy. Candus already didn't have to testify against Don. She didn't have to get a copy of her marriage license to do that. They were already married. They'd been married. I mean, really, if I don't know how long you got to be married in the state of Tennessee and how they split your, money and stuff and property and stuff after you've been married. I know some states it's 10 years. She probably would have been better off divorcing him. When she filed for divorce and that paper showed, all special privilege is the only thing I could think of would matter. Spouse has legal right not to testify against their spouse in criminal cases. Thank you, Birdie's Crime Chat. That's right. But I think the point I'm just trying to make is the fact that Don and Candus has been married for a lot of years. So for anyone to come out and say that marriage license that was dated 2022 is them getting married, it is not. They've been married for many years. Okay. Tennessee different than other states about when a minor is considered an adult. Some states, younger people can go and get what's it called when they it's on the freaking tip of my tongue. They go to court and be emancipated. Some young people can be emancipated from their parents. But, that's the whole thing about it. To put that out there and act like it was, you want to see H interviewed again? Dina Lynn? I don't know. Talking about age, I was really surprised because I heard some little rumblings about Andrew Hiltz. First, he was a alleged pedo who had a panda bear. Then he turned cannibal. I don't know. I can't keep up with that guy, right? He just kind of goes with the flow, if you know what I mean. But they've never even talked to Andrew. Does he freak you out, Dina Lynn? Yeah. Yeah, some people, even at 15, get emancipated at 16. Yep. So it's just, it just kind of got me when I seen that, because I was like, please, please, you know, yeah, that's when Andrew Hiltz first came on YouTube, right? That he had a panda bear sitting behind him for a long time. Weirdo Deluxe. Hi, Coco. Um, and he took it down and then he put it back up again. What? Okay, for a fact, law enforcement has never even talked to Andrew Hiltz. The only connection that he had to Summer's case, he says, hey, that girl, he says is his son, right? Now, I don't dog on Andrew because Andrew is freaking Andrew. You know, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to him for the fact that they've never questioned him in Summer's case. So he's got this connection to Hunter. And if you look back on Hunter and Andrew's relationship, I think you'll find a lot of odd things that went on there. After Summer went missing is when it was important for him to hire Jeremy Dugan with Human Aid Solutions to come and get Hunter from Kingsport. Andrew said on his live one night, only lasted like 20 minutes. Oh, said it on his live. So when I find it weird, some of the things that he says about his own son. I thought it really weird when he talked about Hunter being involved with gang members. The dude says a lot of weird shit. Okay? Definitely, for sure. Sometimes, not very often, if he's live, I'll pop in there and, you know, the other day I was going to pop in and say, oh, you're a cannibal now? What the fuck you going to be next? So, that dude loves shock value and he will try to shock the world. But he's got a lot of subs, I think. I don't know. I don't pay much attention to that. You guys know that for a fact. So, that's what I wanted to put out about the marriage license. I do have them on my watch list. I got a copy of each one. You know, like I said, I do not lie about it. That was the scenario with me and the creator over that fucking marriage license, okay? And I mean, you don't. Let me give you when you're a smaller creator, you don't want to get in bad with bigger creators. You know, they have more people doing research for them. They have a lot more subs who'll come after you. I mean, that's just bottom line. Birdie, they've been married, I think, like 12 years. No, wait. Summer was a baby. Yeah, 2016. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Let me pull it up. That way we don't get it wrong. Hang on and I'll pull it up real quick. As usual, welcome to my low budget channel. I think I got it in my clips. Okay, this is the copy gotten by, okay, is this the original? Let me see. 2013. The 9th day of October, 2013. That's the original. Now the copy is right here, and it was issued the 12th day of August 2016, 2022 is when that was copied. So you guys seen that okay, or do I need to go back through and share it so you guys can see it? Yeah, thank you, E, for dropping Birdie's link there. So, did you see it? Did you guys hear it at least? Because I really didn't share it. I just pulled it up and read the dates off. So, I'll tell you why it bothers me so flippin' much. It's because that's false information to me. That is false information to me. And I don't know, the first creator who did it, I mean, I was so flippin' mad about it. And seriously, God strike me right now. What was the end result that you wanted? Because to question a copy of a license and go as far to say, well, I talked to this person in the clerk's office and I'm from Tennessee and I talked to that person and that, you know, they're saying something ain't right. And I'm like, bullshit. People need to realize nobody in law enforcement is going to lie about anything for Don and Candus. They're not going to rig marriage license. They're not going to do it. Nobody's going to lose their job for Don and freaking Candus Wells, right? And you don't want to take content that a creator personally gets and go towards, you know what I mean? So I had a big problem with that. Did anyone see who called into chat last night? I did. Lori, I don't watch her. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue who could have called in. So, yeah, I mean, just craziness. Craziness. So I just wish they wouldn't do that. It really bothers me because, you know, that's putting for the smaller channels who are, I mean, I consider myself a small channel. I just started mine, I think, January, the end of January. So I consider myself a smaller channel. And if I wouldn't have known that, that would have been big. That would have been big. And unfortunately, some of the newer, smaller channels probably ain't going to watch my channel to know that that's all a crock of shit. So, you know, if you do see a smaller channel talking about it and, you know, they received bullshit information about it, just be very nice to them if you say something about it, okay? Nobody has to be mean about it. But I care about smaller channels, and I care about the smaller channels who have started, especially on the Summer Wells case, because these smaller channels might pick up on something that, I mean, me personally, that I've missed. And some of them put stuff together in a way that is just, I'm like, that's freaking awesome. So I do love that. I do love smaller channels. So, I'll turn my camera off for a minute so you guys have done seen this mug for a few minutes. So I want to talk about a couple other things. So anything you guys thinking of right at this moment before I start talking about this other thing? Anything at all? I think I covered the marriage license thing. Hey, Kiki. Hey, Lip Lock. Kisses. So, yes. Like I said, if y'all see somebody putting out that information, be nice to them about it and, you know, just let them know the facts on it. Okay? Now, I'm kind of jumping into a totally different thing here. So I hope you guys stick with me here. In January, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a 12-year-old girl, trigger warning, who stabbed her 9-year-old brother while he laid in his bed. Okay? Unfortunately, he passed away when he got to the hospital. Very, very sad situation. So, first I'm going to show you the body cam footage of the little girl, okay, when the police arrived. Okay. Here we go, you guys. I got this from Law and Crime Network. They're awesome. They're freaking awesome. So, I'm going to show, I'm not going to show all of it, but I want you guys to understand this is a 12-year-old little girl. And there's some key points that I'll highlight, okay, to kind of give you an idea.
I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. Please. I'm so sorry. You better pray to God. I am sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
How old are you?
I'm 12 years old.
Where's the knife?
I was upstairs in my room and I threw it out the window. Like it's behind the apartment right here.
You threw it where?
I threw it out my window upstairs.
Right
not right there. It's the room. It's the other room. It's right behind the apartment. This apartment right here.
So where would the knife be? On that side?
Right behind. Yeah. I'm so fucking sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. It's some demonic shit. I'm so sorry.
What's your mom's name? What's your mom's name?
I gotta go with him. I'm so sorry. I don't know what the happened. I don't know what happened.
Come over here so we're out of the paramedics' way.
I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry.
Hey, what's your name?
Okay. She said she threw the knife out the window, which isn't, I mean, she's only 12, but the DA's office can say because she threw the knife out the window that she knew what she did, basically.
Seat for me. Sit crisscross on the grass, okay? Just sit there for a second. You don't have the knife on you, right?
No, I swear I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Is there anybody else inside the house?
No, it's just me, my mom, and my brother. He's dying.
Hey, how would I get to the knife? Is there the backside?
I can show you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I really didn't want things to happen like this. This sucks. I'm so sorry. I'm probably gonna go to jail. I'm gonna live the rest of my life in prison.
That's it right there?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know what
Do me a
the fuck
favor. We're going to sit crisscross applesauce right here.
Okay.
Which one is it?
First apartment right here. Hey, she threw the knife over here.
Stay there. I'll look.
It's right there.
Okay.
I'm fucking crazy. I don't know what the fuck I did.
Stick your hands out like this for me.
For those who
Oh,
want
sorry,
more,
guys.
for those who see that the work is never done, for those.
Do you have any cuts on you?
I do.
Where at?
On my arm.
Which arm?
Both of them. My left one is just small cuts.
Did you cut yourself?
Yes.
Red flag. And I'll tell you why. She just said that she has cuts on her arm from her cutting herself. And there's a reason I'm highlighting this and pointing it out, okay? Let me come back in StreamYard. Okay, so this is the thing. The mother, okay, she is sticking with her daughter, but the mother's talking about medication, right? Is that what you're talking about, Lori, the meds? The little girl hadn't been on medication for over a year. They claimed she was ADHD, but had not been on medication. What the hell are you talking about, David Cohen? What do you mean she was a bad chef? Oh, I get what you're saying. Ha ha, David. Yes, self-harm. The mother says she never harmed herself in that way. The mother seems to want people to believe, yeah, David, I got it, it's a joke. Wants people to believe that they're not releasing what medication she was on, okay, at all. The mother said she never had any problems. She was a good kid. The problem that I see for this 12-year-old, did she have a psychotic break at 12? Possibly. I mean, we can't use the fact that the medication did anything because she hadn't been on medication for a year. So what I want to point out is the fact that in this video, and I don't know if you guys want to watch the whole thing or not, so, I can kind of ad-lib what's going on. This 12-year-old girl was basically a babysitter for this 9-year-old little boy, right? Also, there was, I can't remember if it was a little sister or brother, small child that actually that night was with its father. So there was another child involved. We can speculate that this girl she was 12. She was 12. Okay? It bothers me tremendously. I can see this mother trying to defend her daughter to a certain extent. And I'm going to show the mother talking here. Here, let me pull this up here. I've got two different ones up here at the same time, so let me see if I can get it up here where this mother's talking. Now, yeah, I mean, she did have ADHD, but, well, you better make sure you take the knives with you before you let her babysit your child. She's going to prison at 12 years old, David. So, funny, haha, dude. All right. So this is talking about the little boy, and then his mother will say a few words.
Xander was described as the sweetest boy who loved to ride his bike, play Fortnite, and run errands with his mom. Lyda is standing by her daughter, saying she was a well-behaved child with no prior history of behavioral problems, and that she was put on a medication that she was off of for more than a year. But Lyda says it was not a psychiatric medication. She said she couldn't go into detail about it. She also disputed that her daughter is a so-called cutter.
Was she able to tell you what led to her stabbing him?
She has no idea why she did it. She's heartbroken and feels very guilty, but she still doesn't understand why she did it. She said it was like it wasn't her. And the team of specialists working with her, they believe her after working with her for the last 6 months every day. And I believe her too, because I know my child and I know that wasn't her.
Joining me to discuss this incredibly sad case is Dr. Angela Arnold. She is a psychiatrist based in Atlanta. Dr. Arnold, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Arnold, this case is just heartbreaking. Your thoughts upon learning of some of the things that April Lyda is claiming about her daughter, the fact that, you know, she had these old cuts, she was off of a medication. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's very concerning. First of all, she's only 12 years old. It's difficult to treat young girls that are that age. You have to be very careful about the different kinds of medicines you give them, and they can cause different side effects. We've heard that this little girl she was diagnosed with ADHD, so some sort of attention deficit disorder. So you're to assume that she was put on an amphetamine for that. Okay, that's how we treat attention deficit disorder. Okay. I'm also assuming that she was having some sort of side effects with that medication in her past treatment because they took her off of it for a year. And then they say they put her back on it and she had some more side effects from it. But she was not on the medication when this incident occurred in which she killed her brother.
Okay, this is the thing. Why didn't that mother know that this little girl had been cutting herself? I could say a million reasons, okay? But she was 12. When 15, 16-year-olds cut themselves, they hide it a little better, right? The parents maybe not pay that much attention to what they're wearing, long sleeves, right? But something made this 12-year-old child break in her mind. And it's heartbreaking to me. It is heartbreaking to think that something happened. And this is just me saying this, okay, you guys? something happened that made her snap. At 12 years old, the mother acts like everything was perfect. She was a perfect child. Did everything mom wanted her to do. Didn't have any problems with her, right? Oh, David. You're a goober. I'm going to start calling you Goober Cohen, okay? Goober. I don't know about the father. There's not a lot been said about the father so far. But the stress of a 12-year-old to be in a position to where they're caretakers for two smaller children in the home while mom goes to work. It astounds me. Yeah, Lucy Cat. We're going to call David Goober Cohen, okay? He's got a new name, Goober Cohen. Kiki said, sorry, my grandson did not cut himself, but he did have ADHD. There's a lot of kids that have ADHD that don't do that. And a cutter tries to, it's an emotional thing. Seeing the mom may be looking for a lawsuit blaming meds if she gets a good lawyer. You know what? I don't think the mother stands a chance trying to sue anybody over the medication. She wasn't on the medication. She hadn't been on the medication. They took her off of the medication. And even though at one time they tried to put her back on it, and see, I can see where mom is saying that, because if she had such a reaction the first time to this medication that they're not naming, right? Why would they put her on it a second time? A wise psychologist once said little boys are often diagnosed with ADHD from classroom inattention, hyperactivity. Little girls are often diagnosed from playground social problems, daydreaming. Very true. A lot of kids are diagnosed with ADHD just for that, daydreaming, even some who might have an educational deficiency are pegged with ADHD. Could have been a mistake to have taken her off of it. Well, Dina Lynn, she was having bad symptoms from it the first time. David said the meds are very bad because the kid can't learn anything in school and turn them into zombies. Some of them it does. And let me tell you another problem with some kids who are put in the ADHD bracket. Okay. Sometimes it's mom and dad making sure that a doctor will, say a child is ADHD because mommy and daddy want that medicine. Okay. Adults have a totally different reaction to ADHD medicine. They speed off of it. And there are a lot of parents still to this day who will convince a doctor that their child has ADHD and they take their medicine. Hey, Bryn. They take their medicine. How to say when my grandson was on that medicine, he did real good in school. He just wouldn't sit still and wouldn't do his homework. That's a kid. Half kids don't want to do their homework. I mean, some do. I'm not a big believer, Lori, in lithium at all. I was diagnosed with bipolar years and years ago, and I would not allow anybody to put me on lithium. No way in HE double hockey sticks. And I don't know. I never really, I don't have a, you know, I think maybe bipolar 1. I don't even know how it goes anymore. But I take a really low dose of Seroquel at night to help me sleep because my brain just doesn't stop. I'll sit all night long and just think of things and think of things. And if the child is misdiagnosed and given meds they want, then you have school and behavior issues. You must have a good children's psych doctor. Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of children who some fathers, mothers are kind of higher in ranking than fathers as far as convincing doctors that something's wrong with their child, right? You can even go as far as getting into Munchausen and stuff. But did the pressure of school, did the pressure of taking care of a 9-year-old brother, right? Wait till you hear about stepdaddy. All right, I'm gonna play some more of this.
So what does that lead you to believe? Because stimulants are commonly used to treat ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So there are some non-stimulant medications. They're not revealing the actual medication that she was on and then off of. So what does this lead you to believe then?
Well, she wasn't on the medication at the time that this occurred. It's what they're describing could be a brief psychotic episode. She could have had a brief psychotic episode in which she went outside of herself and went in and she didn't know what she was doing and she killed her brother. But you can't link that to a medication that she was not on. It cannot be linked to a medication that she was not on. It could be linked to a very stressful life event. If something stressful had happened in the home, that is the biggest cause of a brief psychotic event. Okay. It can also be linked to illicit drugs, cocaine, LSD, heroin, and PCP. Those things can all cause a brief psychotic event. But if she was not on a medication for her ADD or ADHD, whichever one she had been diagnosed with.
All over the earth, God is raising up a new breed of wealth builders who will use their money to shape the course of world history without building a golden calf. You see, true prosperity is not about toys and trinkets. It's about influence and impact. Building wealth is not just for you.
Then that medication would not have caused this behavior in her.
Let's listen to a clip from this interview that April Lyda did with Chris Cuomo on his News Nation show about what she explains. April Lyda basically explains what she believed happened. Let's listen.
Help me understand. So she was on an ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, very common for parents out there. They'll hear about it. They come with indications, but there's usually guidance about, well, you may start seeing things. Was this part of a downturn or a spiral? Was there any other behavior that gave you any indication that the kid was unstable?
No. She was fine. She wasn't unstable until she was put back on the medication.
So she was on the medication.
She hurt herself.
What happened to take her off it?
She cut her arms within a month of being back on it. So I immediately took her off after speaking to the school and her doctor and herself. We had a long conversation. She said that she felt like she was really irritable, angry for no reason on the medication. So, of course, I took her off of it. Unfortunately, it was too late. The damage was done. stuff like this can happen months or even years after being off of a medication like this.
Wow. Do you believe that? They did, lip locked. They was chatting away. They sure were. They said, "We love you, remain calm. Meow, meow." Yeah. She was not taking any medication whatsoever. And the mother just admitted to the little girl cutting herself. At first it was, oh no, right? And now all of a sudden it's she, after taking the medication, she was cutting herself. What is you gave those meds to a person who is normal? ADHD medicine makes them speed. Yeah, Adderall is really big on the streets now, Lori. You're right. College kids take it to help them study for finals and things like that. But like I said, there are adults who will convince a doctor that their child has ADHD to get that medicine for themselves. It's big money on the streets. And then a lot of times the kids don't even get to take the ADHD medicine, right? Yeah, I was bipolar, Lord. They diagnosed me in my 20s, I think. I don't know if I really had bipolar because I was always just the type of person, if you piss me off, I'm going to fucking tell you about it, right? I don't think that made me bipolar. I was in the military, so I wasn't, well, no, it was probably late 20s because I wasn't, I was in the military. I was never, diagnosed then. But like I said, my problem is my brain doesn't stop working. And if I can't get some rest, at least 4 or 5 hours, there's times when I could stay up all night long just because my brain doesn't stop thinking about stuff, right? There's a difference here, though. My boys have bipolar still as adults. Well, my psychiatrist still has me diagnosed, but like I said, it's the smallest form of it. And I only take a very, very small dose of Seroquel. And I take it at night to help me sleep. Keep Dr. Lewis away from this girl and family. The sad part about this is, what do we think's really going to happen to this little girl? If they don't take her at 12 years old and they could throw her in juvenile, okay? And she could possibly get out at 18, possibly. Or they can try her as an adult. I would hope that, she would be older if they decided to do that. But I, in my heart, think this little girl needs to be in a hospital and taken care of. I know she killed her brother. I know it's horrible, but she's 12. Yeah, with lithium, you have blood work and all that other stuff. I'm not a lithium fan. There are people who take lithium and have for years and don't have a problem with it. When I worked at the nursing home, there was some the residents who had been on lithium for years, and things that were very noticeable in them from doing the lithium for years, and I never let anybody give me anything like that. If you are ADHD, yeah, for children it slows them down, but in adults it makes them speed. If you took sleep pills, will it stop your brain from thinking? And did they ever monitor your brain to see if it would slow down on sleeping pills? Well, Goober Cohen, let me tell you, I take such a small amount that I still dream, if that's what you're asking. So it's not like I take my medicine and, it knocks me out cold. I take such a small amount that I still dream, and if I hear a noise, I still wake up, right? What a sad situation for the mom, 2 kids and one gone due to the little girl. Yeah, I do dream. Definitely. Definitely dream. Definitely have dreamt about Summer Wells numerous times. What do you mean, oh man, that bad? Hubby's home. All right, Lip Lock. Love you, girl. Peace out, girly. Well, Cerecro works for you. Many people have serious issues with it, so be careful if you've never had it before. Oh, well, I mean, like I said, I've taken such a low dose for years that I don't have a problem with it. But if you're taking a very high dose of Seroquel, yeah, you definitely have to be careful. Definitely have to be careful. It's flippin' sad. All right, let's go back and see what else they have to say.
Dr. Arnold, what do you make of what April Lida said?
I do not believe that the mother can assume that months off of a medication, it can trigger behavior in someone like this. Okay? The medicine is out of her system. The medicine does not last for a long time in her system. And the mother is assuming that that a medication went in and did harm to this little girl's brain. However, the mother was also saying that the little girl's behavior up to this point was fine. She was not exhibiting any bad behavior, and she's not exhibiting any bad behavior in prison. So why would you cannot say that this behavior comes and goes off of the medication? You would have more signs and symptoms of that. So I do not believe that the medication that she was off of caused damage to her brain. In other words, made her psychotic, which then made her kill her brother.
So what could be going on here? It's stunning to me that a 911 call is placed. She runs outside. I'm sorry. She's apologizing profusely for what she did.
She knew what she did, didn't she?
It certainly appears so. So what do you make of that?
I have to wonder why the mother is talking so profusely about her good behavior. I wonder what that's covering up. So does that mean that she's had bad behavior in the past? And does this little girl have a different diagnosis? Is she bipolar? Sometimes bipolar disorder is confused with ADHD.
Huh. Sorry, commercial.
Particularly in very young children. Nobody wants to have their child diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but she could have a completely different diagnosis than ADHD.
Now you have to remember, she told them she threw the knife out the window. So this little girl knew what she did because she did throw the knife out the window.
And that could also be why the medication was affecting her so poorly.
I have read that in the past, that bipolar disorder and ADHD can sometimes be confused for one another or misdiagnosed. But does bipolar disorder it does cause manic episodes, but does it cause one to stab someone repeatedly lying in their bed and then run out of the house apologizing about it.
Okay, this is what I want to say also. When you are diagnosed with bipolar, the worst thing that a doctor can give you is antidepressants. Okay? If you have bipolar, you don't want to have a doctor give you antidepressants. Okay? Thank you, Dina Lynn. The child is in pain from something. That's why she's cutting. Young kids are buying too. Well, yeah. Bertie says, sounds like the mother may be blaming the medication, even though off of it for months. They did say she had been off of it for months. Right? Why? Because when you're diagnosed bipolar, it's your brain is wired differently. And I would have to look it up to tell you exactly why that it's not a good thing to get antidepressants and bipolar medicine at the same time. Seeing people as child have ADHD, then it goes to bipolar as an adult. Exactly. Like Bertie said, about psychiatric eval for dual diagnosis. A lot of, for some reason, they do not want to give a child a diagnosis of bipolar. That bipolar is something that you usually they don't diagnose you as bipolar until you're older. David said, was she jealous of her brother for getting more attention than her? Does this child have anger issues? I kind of thought that too, David. Maybe it got to the point where she was overwhelmed with having to take care of these kids while mom was gone. That was in my mind too. She also talked about, I'll show you some more of the body cam when she was arrested. Let me go ahead and play a little bit more of this, and then I'll show you some more of the body cam, because it is interesting what she actually says once they put her in the cop car.
Well, it's always going to be hard to determine what she was thinking at that time when this incident occurred. If she had become manic with her bipolar disorder, you would assume that there would have been signs leading up to this of her mania. Just sheer irritability would have been a sign that she was manic. Just irritability. It wouldn't have to be anything else. She could have been doing some risky things. But the mother continues to say that the little girl's behavior was good. It was good. So the biggest question I have in my mind is, what made her snap that night? I do not believe it was a medication. I have to wonder if the little girl was taking some sort of drugs that was in the house, or was she mad at her brother and wanted to kill him? That has to be in the differential diagnosis. Had something happened between her and her brother, and she wanted to kill her brother.
So an impulsive act.
Yes, an impulsive. We all know that most murders happen between loved ones.
This is such a sad case.
Did you guys hear that? Most murders happen between loved ones. That's an interesting statement. Summer Wells on the brain. Every time I hear something that I can associate with Summer's case, y'all know I do it. Let's hear the last of it here.
And Dr. Arnold, we want to be clear that you are certainly an expert. You haven't you're not making a diagnosis of this girl. We're asking you to opine on this. You haven't treated her, but certainly there are a lot of strange things going on here, and we really appreciate your time and your expertise to discuss this. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I'll give you the last word.
So what I want people to know is I'm laying out what we call a differential diagnosis. These are all of the things that you have to look at when an event like this happens. And I also know that there are a lot of viewers out there that feel that medications are always the evil in this. But that is not the case. When someone comes to the doctor and they need a psychiatric medication or any kind of medication, typically the medication helps the person. Okay. And we are not in the business of giving out medications to help big pharma succeed. Okay. So something went wrong with this little girl, but we cannot determine if it was simply a medication, particularly because she was not on the medication at the time. There's so many questions I have, as I'm sure you do. Was she in treatment? When was the last time she saw her doctor? Was she seeing a therapist also? We have no idea what the answer to any of those things are, but it is interesting that they have her in such treatment now that she's in confinement. And like you said, I haven't spoken to her. I don't know, but I am trying to lay forth a differential diagnosis, which all of us need to be thinking about. All of these are things that we need to think about in determining what caused this.
Thank you, Miss Psychiatrist, for that. We appreciate your opinion. I agree with her. Bertie said, I had a family member diagnosed in his 40s with bipolar. Lithium was a lifesaver for him. Fortunately, I don't have this illness. You know, like I said, especially back, you know, years and years and years ago, that was a go-to drug for bipolar, was lithium. And depending on which category of bipolar that you are, you know, put into, really depends on the medication that you're given. Many diagnosed with bipolar and are, I lost you there, honey. Many diagnosed with bipolar are not really to all is mental health issues. Well, that's what I think we'd all like to know why she snapped. But you have to remember, this is a 12-year-old child that stabbed her brother 9 times, I think I said. No, he was 9. I've got it written down how many times she actually stabbed him. And I tell you guys this all the time. No matter what I'm listening to, I got my pen and my paper out and I take notes, put down what I think are red flags. I think they just said several stab wounds. Sometimes I can't read my own writing. This is a thing too. Like I said, when I was diagnosed with bipolar, my problem was if somebody pissed me off to the extent where, I mean, I would go the F off. Once I got pushed to a certain extent, it was like, and I would tell people, don't fuck with me, don't mess with me, don't poke the bear. And the sad thing is, in one of my relationships, that person would do that to me just to get that kind of reaction. And what I find disturbing is so many people will do that to someone and then say, you're crazy. You're crazy. After I was diagnosed with bipolar, I had a lot of people who would make me mad and upset me. And the minute I would go to say something about how I was being treated, they would say, that's your bipolar. That's your bipolar doing that. And I'm like, oh, hey, oh, fuck, no, it ain't. It's your nasty ass. You know what I mean? Lori said, I think she just had a mental break. By the way, anyone having mental health symptoms, please go for help. I advise that too, Lori. But always have your thyroid checked. Thank you, Lori. That's a big thing too. Please definitely get your thyroid checked. I need to get mine checked again because I'm a very small person. I'm only 4'11". Probably, I mean, I'm getting older, so I'm sure that I've shrunk. So I'm probably 4'9", 4'10" right now. I'm a very small person. And I always, when I got older, thought that a lot of it was thyroid. So kids also have huge mood swings with puberty onset. Mental health issues can worsen with hormonal fluctuation. Thank you for saying that, Birdie. That's one thing I wanted to point out too. This little girl's 12 years old. You know how 12, 13, and 14, 15, 16-year-old girls are especially? We see, I think they talk more about girls going through puberty, but, you know, little boys go through puberty like that also. She may be 12, but her brain is really 16, and that is why she felt trapped. The only escape in her 16-year-old mind was to kill her brother. Very good opinion there, David. Very good opinion. Kids also have huge... Okay, we already read that one. You guys are on it. I love you guys in my chat. You guys keep the conversation so flipping real. That's what I like. People who say what's on your mind, you know. When the fact is also, like I said, she was continuously having to take care of her younger siblings. Maybe she was tired of it. Maybe at 12 years old, she was beginning to think to herself, is this all I have? Okay? And people who cut themselves do it for a reason. They want to feel something. The mother is sitting there trying to convince everyone that there was nothing wrong with this little girl. But then wants to add, oh, well, she was on medication a year ago, and, you know, that could have been what it was. Dion, I just had mine checked, and my PCP changed my dosage of Synthroid. Well, good. I'm glad you had it checked, and they changed your Synthroid. Above, I said what causes bipolar. Let me go back, Lori. You guys should look into ADHD, how they use just as something to call it. There's a lot out there about it. They also will say manic depressive disorder because they don't want to say actual bipolar for kids. They don't. They do not want to diagnose a young person as having bipolar because, like Bertie stated, I believe it was Bertie stated, that you have so much going on in your life when you're that young. I just went to a doctor that would diagnose as juvenile onset bipolar. Well, a lot of things have changed over the years with the different diagnoses and stuff like that. It is just the most saddest thing that I've seen. The saddest thing. There's also a case where a young teenage boy stabbed his little sister to death also. That guy, and I will pull it up and show you guys sometime, was actually diagnosed as a schizophrenic. I mean, this dude was something else. But you know, we definitely need to send a lot of prayers out to this little girl. In a way, I think the mother wants so much to believe that she didn't put her daughter in a position and this be the outcome. You understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of parents who their child does a crime or something like that. And hey, they can even be older. Okay. They don't have to be 12. Even people who have a 25-year-old son, 18, their parents will, oh, you know, this was wrong and they wasn't diagnosed and they're good people. Even people who's, you know, murdered is a serial killer. Oh, they, you know, my son was a good person. So, I looked older, acted older, and didn't do that. Well, I acted older too because in my case, I was homeless at 10, 11 years old. Okay. And even though I'm almost 60 and this is my home that I live in, growing up, I never felt like I had a home. I didn't belong anywhere. I did not even move into a stable surrounding until I was in 8th grade, okay? And I did one semester at 8th grade and one half of the school year in 8th grade, and I had to make straight A's they switched me over to 9th grade, and the second half of the 8th grade, I was actually in 9th grade, which I had to have all passing grades to graduate with my class in 1982. So even though I was homeless throughout that time, and you know, when I did move in with my dad, and even though it was a stable environment, I had a roof over my head, I had food to eat, I didn't have to go to the grocery store and steal food. And this is going to sound very disgusting, but I'll never forget, I had started my period. My mother was an alcoholic. I went to my mother and said, can you buy me some pads? And she said, I ain't got the money for that. I went down to, back then we had Woolworth stores, and I went into that Woolworth store and stole some pads and a new pair of underwear. I still remember that to this day, and I still feel shame about that. And let me tell you, I think they knew that I was stealing it, but they just didn't have the heart to bust me out. Now, at the grocery store, they did bust me out for stealing food. And at the time, I did not know that my grandmother was in that store. And when I came out, she was out front and I seen her. And the next thing I know, my grandmother, I was told this years later, had called my father and said, "What are you doing? You need to take this child because she's going to end up dead." And, you know, I have to agree with her. I probably would have. Probably would have. There's stuff that I did that I think back and I'm ashamed of it. I'm surprised that I didn't die 20 times over. So to this day, I don't talk to my real mother. I don't have a relationship with her. And she still to this day will not admit to anything that she did wrong. She will not admit to nothing she did wrong. My mother was an alcoholic who went to rehab 5 times, and that's as many times as she was married too. It was a bad scene for me. It really was. And I carried a lot of things, the emotions of things that happened was carried over into my adult life. I ended up married 3 times. My first husband, I married right out of high school. I was pregnant with my daughter, which I would never give up for anything in the world. She is my best friend. I love my kids tremendously. And so I would have never gave her up. But he was a drug addict. He was very abusive. I mean, black eyes, the whole scenario. You know, a lot of us have gone through that. A lot of us have gone through that. And it shapes us today. Do I forget about all the things that's happened in my life? No, I don't forget it, but I've learned to live with it. And I consider myself a survivor. I really do. And I love when we can take victims and make them feel like survivors. Try to, even though survivors are victims, okay, and we know that I probably said that kind of stupid, but you'll always be a victim no matter what. Even if you're a survivor, you'll always be a victim, right? Oh, it's okay, Birdie. I'm old enough now where, you know, I just had to step back and say, my life was so fucked up, but I can't let that define who I am today. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody really makes me mad, I can cuss with the best of them. I know I like to say the F word, but I can get really shitty with somebody who messes with me. My thing is, I let them mess with me till I'm like, I can't take this anymore. So, I am the type of person, even when I go into chats, and I've always been like this, anymore I kind of watch behind the bushes, right? But anymore, used to, I would go into chats, and if I would see somebody in chat being dogged out or mistreated by the chat, and you know, people making them feel less than, I was always that one in chat to say, hey, you know, I understand. I see where you're coming from. a couple of words to somebody who is feeling their lowest, just a couple of kind words can mean so much to somebody. You don't know what people go through on a daily basis, right? Good, Dina Lynn. See, and Dina Lynn, I know she knows what I'm talking about, right? When you've been S8 at such a young age, Summer, it's like you think of Summer possibly going through something like that, and it just, I know it breaks Dina Lynn's heart, and it breaks my heart. I own a restaurant, and every night before I close up, I put out garbage in the alleyway. One night doing that, there was a young girl, and she was sitting next to the dump. Oh, gosh, David, that's horrible. It disturbs me so bad to even see adults who are shooting up, let alone children. And let me tell you, believe it or not, in this day and age, there's 9-year-old kids who are out here doing heroin. It's true. So I talked to her and she didn't move, so went up to her. She was all white like a ghost, and when I touched her, she was cold as ice. I thought she was dead, so I took her into the restaurant, and that had to have been heartbreaking. Next to the grill that was still hot, and removed her. Well, I hope you didn't remove all of her clothes, David. You better not even be going there, because then I'm going to have to start calling you Goober again, okay? Don't be a Goober, be a David, okay? And don't make me put you on the pee-pee planet, because I will. You might go from David to a Goober to a wanker, okay? That choice is totally yours. Yeah, you have to call 911. I actually, when I had my doctor's appointment this morning, it was really weird because we were driving down the road to go to the doctor, right? And, oh, you did call 911 after 20 minutes they came? Yeah, don't get me started on that. That just, some people, well, we have Narcan now, right? A kind word to a stranger may save their life. Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't hurt you to be kind to somebody at all. When I was in Ohio visiting my daughter, we were pulling out of McDonald's, right? And so there was a woman who had a wheelchair, and she had a cart too, I think. And there was like an incline to get into McDonald's parking lot. And we stopped, and my daughter actually got out and helped her. And I was so proud of my daughter. I mean, I was going to do it anyway. But of course, I'm mom, so she's like, no, I'll get it. Many, many times, I will not hesitate to hand a homeless person $5 or make sure they got money for a cup of coffee or something like that. Bertie said, y'all could carry Narcan. You never know when you'll come up on someone needing at the gas station, grocery store, and parts. Oh, no, Bertie, you're absolutely right. Oh, there's Andrew. What, your ears burning? You cannibal, you? Did you know you're a cannibal now too, Andrew? When they got there, they took the long needle and put it in her chest. That's what happens. You know, they do that. It's just horrible. You can get Narcan at the pharmacy I knew at one time that they had, sometimes you could get it from the fire station at one time, but I'm sure they don't do that anymore. They took her away, so the next day I went to the hospital to see if she was okay. She was fine. I talked to her and paid her hospital bill and found out that her stepfather was trying to have SEX. David, I commend you 1,000% for that. Seriously. Seriously. And listen to this. She was on the street for about a year. That's so sad. That is so sad. But you know what? You probably did something for her that no one else had done for her. And I commend you for that, David. I really do. So here where I live, they just busted a young girl with 17 pounds of fentanyl pills. 17 pounds. Also, cocaine. I can't remember the amount of cocaine, and a crap load of money. This little girl she's a little girl to me. My son's, I think, 26 or 27, and she's around her age, or his age. So she just threw her life away in a nighttime fun time way. I'm a cannibal. Oh, Andrew, you've been called so many things, you whippersnapper, you. You're a cannibal. You're a pedo with your panda. What else? There's been a lot of things, Andrew, they call you. So it's very sad. So that's what interested me when that psychiatrist talked about possibly drugs being in the home that she possibly could have gotten rid of. Sorry I got sidetracked. Unfortunately, I think Summer had a lot more going on. You know, the thing about Summer's case, and, you know, everybody was talking about Allie saying Candace brought Summer there and had gotten into some meth or whatever. And I talked about that. And, you know, what I thought about that situation was that I would hope that if that really happened, that somebody would have called somebody, right? So I wondered if that possibly, if it did happen, possibly another, you know, Candace scenario. Pay attention to me. I come in late. Did you speak on the Wells marriage? Yeah, I did speak on the Wells marriage certificate. Dion, I'll kind of go over it again before I get off, okay, hon? For you. I have no problem doing that. David said, but the good news is I gave her a job in the restaurant and she got her own place and she went home to get her brother and they lived together. She went to night school. That is really cool, David. And if that is really true, dude, you're one good man. And if you're making that up, that's a good damn story, okay? Good story. Andrew, only about what people were saying, not really talking about you. Yeah, Andrew, that's true. If they're talking about you, they're not talking about your son. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in my opinion, they need to leave your son alone and, you know, don't even talk about him anymore. That's cool, David. You told people her boy was your son or her brother. Because if she was that young, did she have a baby already? Or you said the brother, right? Hey, Cornbread Mafia. Does H hang out with Leslie's son, Andrew? Mark. Leslie. Oh, you're talking to Andrew about a guy named Mark, right? Now, Leslie, let me get back. Let me think about the Leslie situation for a minute. Leslie's nephew was unalived in her driveway, I thought, right? And then someone else she was related to was a RSO, if I'm not mistaken. Right? There you go, Cornbread. You just spoke my language. He isn't hanging out with anyone at this time. I'll drop a link. You're more than welcome to come up here. I let anybody come up on my panel if you want to come up. If you have anything you need to spill your guts or talking about, you know what? I am really glad that he's doing well. I really am. And I hope nothing but good things for him. I really do. I think that's magnificent. You know, a very violent against children RSO, huh? I knew, I've got a few things about Leslie in my notes. I haven't looked at them for a long time. But yeah, I kind of knew about the RSO thing. And, you know, that's the thing too. If we talk about Grandma Candy's brother, that guy, the state of Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, they did not want to let her brother out of prison. They said he would not be, you know, however they say it when, they did not want him out of prison. You know, Andrew, it's going to take him a little while. You gotta, you know, you just have to be patient with him. Look at the life that he's had. Okay? He might even have a couple setbacks, and I pray that they're not big setbacks. But I do hope that, you know, good things happen, you know, in his life. I really hope that for him. I do. They're talking about, oh, wait a minute. You said who, Lori? I thought you said who, Leslie. You know, I talked to her mother and she could come over to the restaurant or the house, but she never did. Her mother just didn't care. You know, that when I hear of young women and boys going through that, it pisses me off, David. And I'm going to tell you why. My mother didn't care. She didn't care about me. 10 years old is a very young age to be homeless. I am surprised that I survived it. I remember, and this is, I'll say trigger warning, okay, but this is true fact. I remember I was so young and I was so little. I wasn't a big child. I was tiny. And somehow I was downtown and the town I grew up in, and a pedophile. All I remember is he was holding me up under my arms and had me pinned to a school. and I could not get away from him. And it was this school was in a place where there were houses around it. I mean, it was right almost downtown, and no one did anything. And still to this day, at a certain point, I blacked out and don't remember the rest of it. And I think I'm glad about that. I don't think I need to remember, because now that I'm older, it's like, I think the worst. I think the worst. And I can still, in my head, remember what this fucking guy looked like. Still to this day, I can remember what that guy looked like. Yeah, kick him in the balls. That's right. Oh, you know what I say, David? You might appreciate this. I say, punch him in the throat, and while they're down, decide if you're going to kick them in the face or not. That's my motto. That's right, Lori. So it works. I still feel that way today. If somebody messes with me too much, that's the first thing I'm going to do is punch them in the throat. Definitely. Yep. Run, yell, scream, holler. Lip lock is wonderful about showing the sign that they use. You know, it's 4 fingers up and then down. I'll have to look at it again. It's in my mind. I just can't think of it right now because my brain went back to things that happened to me when I was younger. It's a lot easier to be a yes parent than a no parent for the right reason. You know what I'm saying? I know what you're saying, Birdie. I really do. LPO, she hates me. She don't hate you, David. Lip lock don't hate anybody. But if you pissed her off, and she probably let you know about it, didn't she? Code word for, yeah, we do kind of have to be kind of careful. I tried to give, oh, I was there when you were talking about the cat stuff. I remember that. So, yeah. But, you know what breaks my heart also is when I see homeless adults and they have small children. And they don't want to take help that people offer them because it's a lot easier to be homeless and doing dope and not give a shit about your kids. And any parent who puts their child in a position to where they're homeless doesn't need to have a child. So, you know, that's just my opinion on that. Lisa Cat, no, not in teeth. They can make you so sick of teeth, cut your hand, got for eyes or throat. Yeah, you can get infections by someone biting you. The human mouth is disgusting. Frontier Health has good resources here. Big Brothers, Big Sisters program is good. You know, I thought about doing that. I thought about being a big sister. I really did. I think even my granddaughter at 10 years old would be a wonderful, you know, someone if I became a big sister and someone around her age. You know, one thing I can say about my daughter, she is fucking fantastic about the way that she treats other children. When other kids come to hang out with my granddaughter, it's like that's their kid too. Anything they buy for my granddaughter, they make sure they buy it for the other child. I mean, and my youngest daughter's like that too. All the kids in the neighborhood want to go to her house. She's actually going to college. She wants to, she's working on getting her associate's degree first to do health care for low income families through the government. So I'm really proud of her. And she's the same way. You know, that's what I love. I knock on wood every day because my kids are good. Are they perfect? Have they not done perfect things in their life? Sure. But they're good. They're good kids. And you know, that just means a lot to me because I struggled, even through my marriages, I struggled. That's just the way it was. Now, Todd and I's been together 28 years, I think, something like that, a long time. And we did end up getting divorced, but, you know, that was on a Me Too, you know, situation. But we've been together. We're still together. So your sister's a big sister. Oh, I'm going to check into that. I'm glad that you said that because I've thought about that so many times over the years, and I think that would just be wonderful to be able to do that. And, you know, one thing I can say too, there are a lot of people that are on social media, on YouTube, in chat rooms, and different things like that, that they're lonely. And I'm the type of person, when I was younger, I was pretty introverted, right? And I could be at a party with 20 people, and even knowing some of the people, and I would be the weirdo that sat there all night and didn't say 2 words. For some, I don't know if it was the way I was raised and things that happened, but I just never thought that what I had to say was even important enough. And I think a lot of people feel that way. The cat is half Persian, half werewolf, and something else the vet said. It's ugly cat he ever seen. Even my 4 dogs are afraid of it. Well, you keep that cat and you love it, David. Men who live the life H is trying to that straightened out are good to have to talk with. Definitely, Lori. Definitely. That would be wonderful for H if he had, you know, people like that to talk to and be able to associate with. I think all kids need that. You know, that was the thing when I was younger. I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And this is the truth. When I was in high school, it was hard for me to adjust to living at my dad's, being told what to do. You know, I had all these rules, and I kind of always felt like that him and my mother never really took any responsibility for me being homeless at that time. Even when I got older, you know, it was they would say stuff about each other. And you know, there were things about both of them that I could have said, but I, you know, just kept my mouth shut. But I, you know, I took it upon myself and went in the military, and you know, I even getting divorced. You know, my first marriage, I got beat a lot. The second one was kind of physical, but more mental. You know, and even in those situations, I got out of it. So, you know, when I left my first husband, I was so proud of myself. I was so proud that I got me and my daughter out of that situation. And I had to do that by myself. And so there were a lot of things I did in my life that, you know, really, I think shaped the way that I am today. And I think that also, you know, yes, my name on here is Remain Calm, and I do try to handle myself in a calm way. Do I lose my temper? Yeah. Can I light into somebody's ass? You better believe it. But I'm just the type of person. I don't think that screaming at somebody gets your point across, right? I've always believed in words, and you can make a great point of saying something to someone without screaming at them. And use your words. They work. Bye, Cornbread. Are you waving bye? Thank you for popping in. I appreciate you. Yeah. David's still talking about the cat, especially when kids are in more rebellious state and won't listen to parents or guardians. That's a tough spot. It really is, because you can definitely lose your patience when you're, you know, trying to deal with a kid who is hard-headed and doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, David, no, I don't want it. Thank you very much. I already have a few cats, and I don't need no more. And if he's already at your house, you take care of him, because obviously you loved him, or he wouldn't still be there waiting for you to try to find him a home. So you feed him and you take care of him. JK makes you feel better, though. Well, I think that's over the years. I've just had so much happen to me in my life that when people talk about things that happen to them, I try so hard to have empathy and sympathy, okay? You're fine, David. But no, I don't want that cat. Lori, yes, I know, so went out to speak on the subject. We always been instructed to have a plan. If you guys see a younger child out on the street that looks like that they might just need some kind words, this is just the way I am. If I go out here and say I see a 12, 13-year-old out there on the street, and you can tell by the way that they're dressed that they may not have clothes, and, you know, I guess it's from being homeless so young. I just always want to make sure that even if I can't help them in some way, that I find the resources for them and help them. If I tell them about the resources and they're really interested and truly want to look into them, you know what? It wouldn't be surprising if I didn't stick them in my car and take them and make sure they got there, right? I know you got to be really careful anymore over, you know, the kids and those things. But with this 12-year-old little girl, when she was in the back of the cop car, she talked about a teacher that had cancer that had just came back to school, and she really liked him. She talked about things that a 12-year-old girl would talk about. Like I said, to pinpoint the first flag that I put up in that conversation was when she said she threw the knife out the window. So she knew what she was doing, is how you have to look at that. She knew she did wrong. So how can you how you can't make that make sense. So I don't know how, her defense attorney's gonna deal with that or whatever. I just hope that they give that little girl, they care for her and just don't throw her somewhere where she'll just do her time and won't get counseling, won't get diagnosed properly. That happens way more than people think. A lot, way more than what people think. That, they get put in juvenile, that they don't get any help for whatever the crime is that causes them to be in there. And that is sad, because a lot of children who get put in a juvenile facility, a lot of them, when they get out, they hang out in the crime, vicinities, and usually end up in big boy prison. So thank you, Birdie. Always appreciate when you come in. And everybody, make sure you watch Birdie's channel also. With young kids out there, you want to give the places they go for help, of course, because you have to be very careful. If they're hungry, I get them food, etc. Though it's rough out there. It is. It's very rough out there. I remember a few years ago when I was in Ohio, we went down to the gas station. And the thing about when I go see my daughter in Ohio, it's totally different environment for me. Here, I see homelessness. Every once in a while, see a drug addict. I guess if you're really looking for them, then you spot them a little bit more. But, when I go to Ohio, it's right in my face. The prostitution, the addicts, and, the whole standing there and about falling over and all kinds of stuff. And there was a young boy at the gas station, and he wanted money, he said, to take the bus. Well, he was young enough, he should have been in school. And so, my daughter kind of was like, well, you shouldn't need money to get the bus to go to school, because I know in Akron especially, they give the students a bus pass, because Akron schools do not have buses. Like here, we got school buses. There, your child, if you don't take them to school, they have to ride the city buses, which I think is horrible. I think that is horrible. And so, yeah, it's just, not a good thing. All right, I'm going to show you guys one more thing, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. And I can pull back up anytime that if you guys want to see more of that. That's on Law and Crime Network. And let me get back in here, because I'm low budget. All right, I'm going to watch you later. This is heartbreaking to me. but this is something I think we all need to look at. So definitely trigger warning, you guys, okay? Big time trigger warning here.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about Comigo. If you've got
Commercial.
anxiety, panic attacks, stress, or having a hard time sleeping, having a hard time.
Father of 3 in Maryland, Christopher Wright, was beaten to death in his front yard while protecting his children from a school fight. This happened in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. Christopher Wright died last Saturday. Wright's family told WBAL TV that Wright's 14-year-old son got into a fight with another teenager at Brooklyn Park Middle School the day before. After that, Wright's son went home. The next day, Anne Arundel County police say 3 to 4 white men in their 20s and 30s showed up at the Wright's house. Wright's fiance told WBAL TV the men said, "If your son isn't going to fight, you're going to fight." The sister of Wright's fiance told Inside Edition 2 men and 3 middle school kids showed up at the house and were involved in Wright's death. He died of a traumatic brain injury on Saturday, May 20th, hours after this fight. His family has set up a GoFundMe account. Kristen Karapczynski, the sister of Wright's fiance, wrote on her Facebook page just recently, "On behalf of our family, we want to thank Anne Arundel County Police Department for how hard they are working to investigate this case. Please do not mistake their silence or lack of arrests for lack of action." The family is planning a candlelight vigil to remember Christopher Wright. Joining me to discuss the death of Christopher Wright is Joseph Scott Morgan. He's a forensic death investigator, a frequent law and crime guest, and also the host of the Body Bags podcast. Joseph, welcome back to Sidebar.
Thanks for having me, Anjanette.
I find this case to be incredibly disturbing. It sounds like a case of almost mob mentality, a gang of people. It sounds like 3 to 4, maybe 5 individuals showing up and demanding a fight from a 14-year-old. And then when the dad says he's not fighting you, they beat him up and kill him. Tell me your initial thoughts about this upon hearing about it.
Yeah, you said mob mentality. It almost sounds like a feeding frenzy, where, with violence, where they're coming to do great harm. And I think that that's the key from an investigative and from a prosecutorial standpoint. When you begin to dig into this and you look, and it's really hard in these cases to prove specific intent. And here's another thought about this case. The dad wound up deceased. Was it their intention, perhaps initially, to kill a 14-year-old over some kind of altercation at school? Did you show up with that level of malicious intent in this environment? It's not just like one person showed up. You excellent thought put forward there relative to a mob mentality, and this is a driver behind this. And when you think about it, it's not like, this poor man stepped out in front of a car that he didn't see coming. These are people that marched themselves together collectively as a group to this man's home to essentially come after this boy, this 14-year-old. And they show up and they want something outside. They're demanding that this child fight. And when the father doesn't cave into that, they attack him. They swarm him. I guess the old term is he's bum rushed at that point in time. And the level of violence that you see in this particular case is assaulting to the senses.
He was literally beaten to death. He died of a traumatic brain injury, which a traumatic brain injury, I mean, it basically means your brain has been so damaged. Sometimes, there are different levels of TBIs, but basically his brain was shaken inside his skull.
All right. I should have said trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Okay. So I should have said that before I even played it. This was over $30. One of the kids told another kid that I guess that this 14-year-old had taken $30, right? This case makes me think also of the vicious attack that was put on the Marines that I believe I mentioned in one of my lives. I don't know if I showed anything on it or not. Now, we're talking 2 adults and 3 kids. Why the fuck would any adults even have the notion in their heads to take children over to someone's house and demand that this 14-year-old come out there and fight? Look what they did to his father. There's no way in hell that they, in my mind and my opinion, would not have done that to that 14-year-old. Yeah, the Marines, they were attacked big time, bum rushed, as this man said. What is going on with our youth? What the hell is going on with them? These kids today think they're entitled, in my opinion. They think that if they ask for something, it should be given to them. Many don't have jobs, don't want jobs, don't care about school, don't care about anything but what they can get at that moment. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I wouldn't want to wish any of that on anybody. To be physically attacked and kicked and punched by anyone. It's bad enough fighting one person, but that's not the case. And when you've got adults who are in that situation also, what the fuck? Somewhere along the line, these adults made it okay for these, I'll call them children, to attack a grown man. Right? A grown man. So I want to play some more of this. I'm going to play a little bit more of this.
To the degree that he died. I mean, there may have been some other type of injury associated with this, with the spinal cord, but that is just horrifying to me that a group of people in a front yard, and there's some new reporting here, Joseph, from the New York Post, who talked to Tracy Karapchinsky, who is Wright's fiance. I'm looking at this right now. We reached out to her family to try to talk with her, and they said she's feeling too kind of tired and overwhelmed right now to do it.
Sure.
But she said this was all over $30, a $30 dispute, like some kid telling another kid, I stole $30. And I just can't even imagine. She lays out this account. So the fact that these people in the front yard beat up the dad to the point that he died over $30, I don't understand where that level of rage comes from. But let's talk about that TBI. I mean,
yeah,
him dying from that, it could have injured his spinal cord, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it could. And right you are when you talk about the levels that are involved.
Sexy astronaut discovers how to get the world's fastest metabolism. Did you know ice cubes can...
Here, the brain, though it is obviously encased in skull, is very delicate organ, very delicate. You can suffer great physical diminishment by a simple strike, depending upon where it's located anatomically. When you have a crowd of people, a group of people, let's frame it that way, that descend upon you, and this is what we refer to as multiple blunt force trauma. There's one report that came out that said his head was slammed into
Trigger warning.
Sidewalk, I think at least twice. And this is not like this is perfectly orchestrated. So when you get a group of people like this mob mentality, they're attacking an individual. And to this point, all we know about that they are armed with are hands and feet, knees, legs, that sort of thing. This blunt force trauma arises, and it's not like it's organized. You have multiple strikes that are taking place all over the body. So if you think that maybe he was grabbed by the hair of his head and his head was slammed down into the concrete, there's more going on here. You might have individuals that are actually restraining him while a majority of the trauma is being done to him, or they're descending upon him with multiple blows all over his body. The autopsy report will be really over the top in this particular case because, first off, this was not an instantaneous death. So he's going to have multiple contusions all over his body. There will be a lot of abrasions, this sort of thing. You might even have lacerations that are associated with these strikes to the skull, which are those kind of nasty, jagged openings that you see in the skull when people get their head cracked open.
Okay. Definitely trigger warning, trigger warning. Thank you, Eve. I believe what they call the placing your head on the cement, or they call it bitch stomping, right? Yeah, sexy astronauts. That's what David's probably not in here no more, but you know, I was kind of giving him the sexy astronauts if he wanted them. This is also disturbing to me. Just fucking disturbing. I'm going to keep following this case just because I want to keep you guys posted on if the end. Let me say this. There was a lot of this that was caught on camera. So definitely, you know, they're going to know who did what. And it does kind of sound to me, and this is just my opinion, and we'll see what's going on with it. You know, they'll talk more about it, and I'll make sure to stay up with it, that possibly the adults held on to this man. When you have 3 teenagers coming at you like that, where was the damage to them? You would think that a grown adult man, if he punched one of them in the face or upside of their head, would have needed medical attention, right? That's what makes me possibly think that the adults maybe did hold him. Or he said gangs are the worst, and the kids that act like they are wannabes end up like this. Hybrid gangs. Yes, that's what they're calling a lot of these children like that, hybrid kids. People with teens watch them online because MS is recruiting online to the ones who talk about running away. AZ is having a ton of 17-year-olds go missing. Oh, yeah, talking about Arizona, right now, Cleveland, Ohio is at its highest for missing children. If you look into the missing children in Cleveland, a lot of the missing children don't even have pictures. They said it's worse also because school is out now, and it's horrendous. It is horrendous. I had emergency brain surgery for 2 subdural hematomas, 1 epidural hematoma, fractured jaw, skull through middle ear, cranial nerve damage that caused the right side of my face not to work. I was hit one time and never hit my head, never passed out, nothing, but didn't even faze me. Lori, oh my God. What in the world? Well, thank God you're here. Girl, that is horrible. Thank God you're here, Lori. And in my chat. I appreciate you. I really do. So, I'm going to tell you guys one more story, okay? And this one's interesting. Lori's story's interesting. Yeah, I would have her come up here if she wanted to and talk about it. You guys know anybody who wants, and I'll drop the link, anybody who wants to come up into my, on my channel, come up here if you want. You all know you're welcome. Definitely. Neurosurgeon said if I was 1 minute later getting to him, I wouldn't be here. I was on a ventilator. So Lori was that due to when hit in jaw, it hits the brain. Did someone do that to you, Lori? Can I ask you that? I don't want to get too personal if you don't want to, but did someone do that to you, or were you hit by a car? I don't know if you set it up further into the chat up there. If you don't mind me asking, if it's too personal, please don't answer it, okay? Definitely don't want you to do anything you don't feel comfortable with, for sure. That is horrible. Just horrible. But thank goodness you're here. I mean that. What? Dang, Lori. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry you went through that. Birdie, you kind of lost me there. Birdie wants to know if you pronounce your name Lori or Lori. She's Lori. Right, Lori? He didn't know it was me. He was calling me someone else's name. He was high on meth and drinking. Oh my goodness. That is horrible, Lori. Bless your heart. And it probably, I mean, that's really bad. But, my gosh, being a family member had to have been devastating for you. Well, girl, you are definitely a survivor. Doctor said I'd be in the hospital for 6 months to a year. I left in 4 days on my own 2 feet. Well, girl, you've got a lot of, you're my hero. You are my new hero, for sure. It's Lori. I don't like that spelling, so I use Lori. Mostly because my mother hated it. Yeah, I thought it was Lori when I looked at it. That's a good question though, Birdie. I never thought to even ask her. I just always called her Lori. Girl. He is a rapid psycho bipolar too. And doing methamphetamine. Wow. So they wanted to give him 10 years and you got it to 3. Do you think that with his mental condition and these substances that is what caused it, and you knew that made a difference with you, didn't it? That you knew that there were a lot of things going on with him. You're a great example of what I was talking about, Lori, that you, even after that happened, still had a sense that is my son. He has issues. He has addiction to meth. He, in that situation, did you know in your heart? No, you don't sound sorry. Hey, you know what? That's a good thing to be a strong old bitch. Definitely is. So I think what I'm asking you is, you had to have known, right? And I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything, but did you feel like that if he wouldn't have been doing the substances and things like that, that situation wouldn't have happened? I mean, that's kind of what I'm kind of getting, the way that you talked about taking it from 10 years to 3 years. That if the substances added to the mental health problem, and that is what brought the storm together, right? He needed mental health treatment, not jail. Yes, and he was devastated when he saw my picture from the hospital police took. My God, Lori. I will still pray for your family. And for you. You've been through a lot. And let me tell you, that shows your character. Hey, flies. Thanks. That shows your character, Lori. It really does. And you'll have to email me and send me your home address, and so I can send you one of these hearts that I have. Eve sent me her address. I'm gonna send her one. I want to try to get that out on Saturday. But I would love to send you one. I think I've showed you guys what they look like before. Let me show you what they look like. Well, I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't have my light on in here. But it's a little rose quartz crystal. And I got a few of them when I started following Summer's case. And I love them. And they're nice just to have. Yeah. That's a great mother, Lori, that you could do that. That is a great mother. All right, I'm going to show you guys one more thing, okay? And then I'll get off here. Let me see if I can switch this over. I'm glad you popped in, Flies. Always nice to have you here. All right, you guys know I'm low budget. I knew he needed help before it happened. His loser father got him on it at 18. He's 30 one now was on and off of it. I did know that's what caused it, subs and mental health, absolutely. You know, Lori, I think it's horrible when a father or mother does not think twice about getting their children addicted to what they're addicted to. It's like, and this is just my opinion, when one parent has an addiction, that is the way that they, in their mind, are hanging out with their kid, spending time with their kid. You know, it's easier for an addict to hang out with another addict. Boys, the AG office said he almost passed out when he saw it. I still have effects from it. I have a plate and screws in my head and a shunt in my brain. Oh man, Lori. So you're still going through a lot. Still going through a lot. So I hope that your son knows for real, that his mother loves him and cared about him even after such a disaster happened. Got most of the use back in my face. My eye works now and hearing mostly back. And right ear too. My goodness. Hey, Auntie M. No, you're fine, Lori. You know, let me tell you something. I don't mind people sidetracking me on anything. I was just, after I talked about the marriage license, I was just, going through my watch list and kind of giving you guys an idea on some of the things that are going on right now in the world. Also, Lil Wing, I believe today she talked about Harmony Montgomery, and I started keeping the court stuff. I thought I'd go over it, but once I know that a creator that I really like is going over something, I don't want to go over it. I'm just like that, and so she's been talking about Harmony, and right now the dad is going to court for weapons charges. But the way that the stepmother talked about the drug addicts in the home, and the father was selling guns that he stole to for drugs, it kind of gives you an idea of how little Harmony had to live. So that's very interesting. His father drugged my grandmother. Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. Wow. No, Lori, you're fine. You're fine. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I really do. And let me tell you, that really shows your character, and you are a great example of who I love to be associated with my channel. Yeah, you do have a great sense of humor. He can't talk to me because restraining order till 2035. Wow. Well, I hate to say it, but it's probably for the best, right now. But 2035 is quite a long time. Quite a long time. Yes, Eve, we do. We love Lori. I loved Lori before she even told me that. So that just makes me admire you more, for sure. All right, sweets. I'm going to pull up this last thing. And on my watch later list. Oh, there goes my dog. Are we talking about abusive partners? Auntie M, Lori just kind of told us the story of her son. It was her son. I'm glad you shared his story because we're going to see more like it if they don't do something about the cartels, drug gangs, etc. What's scary to me, I think, Lori, is the fact that these are young children. If these young children are doing this now, I can't imagine what they're going to be doing when they're older, right? Craziness. In Rhode Island. Your granddaughter? All right, I'm going to show you guys this story, okay? Just because I love y'all. I don't want to leave y'all right now. You guys are going to find this one really, really interesting, I believe. I believe you guys will find this story interesting. Let me pull up my watch later here. Here we go. I'll say trigger warning too.
Gregory Mandelis is an elementary school principal in Pennsylvania. He faces one charge for not reporting sexual abuse when he found out about it. He's on indefinite leave from the Knox School District outside of Pittsburgh. Pennsylvania State Police say this sexual abuse did not involve a student at the school where Mandelis was the principal. Rather, the allegations of sexual abuse involve Mandelis's adult son, who's 19, and a 5-year-old girl.
This case was brought to the attention of the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Unit in August of 2022. Through a child line report.
Mandelis's son, Matthew Mandelis, faces a felony charge of corruption of a minor and misdemeanor indecent assault on a child younger than 13. As a school principal, Gregory Mandelis is required to report any type of abuse the moment he finds out about it.
Mandated reporters include a variety of professions, including law enforcement, school employees, health services, and the list goes on and on. So you are required to report it in a timely manner, and Mr. Mandelis failed to do that. So the reason why this is an important section is that the mandated reporting system in Childline, the urgent reporting allows for that the victims is there so that we keep the victims safe and from the alleged actor, and also keep future victims safe from that alleged actor.
Trooper Bertha Casey went on to discuss what is required of a mandatory reporter.
Mandated reporting, that it's important for them to report it while they're at their professions. So while you're doing your duties and also during your personal life. So once you become a mandated reporter, you're never really off. So even in your personal life, anything happens. So like, for example, law enforcement, even when we're off duty, anything reported to us, we're still required to report that in a timely manner to the correct services.
Florina Altschiller is a former sex crimes prosecutor, currently a defense attorney, and just all around good person. Thanks a lot, Florina, for coming back on Sidebar. We appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to end that right there. What do you guys, hey Selena, what do you think of that? A principal, elementary school principal. did not report as a mandated reporter because it was his son. It was his son. Yes, insanity. Insanity. That is scary. I hope he gets time for it. I hope his son gets time for it. What kind of tweet for me was when they talked about that somebody had called the tip line and they had been investigating it since August of 22. So they've been investigating this for a while. So what the hell's going on in our world? What about our children? What about our children? I just don't get it. I don't get it. We've had Million Men March, right? Remember when they had the Million Man March? And then they had the Million Women March? Who's marching for our kids? Who is marching for our kids? You know, we'll kind of get back into the Allie and her daughter talking about what happened with Summer with supposedly getting into meth and Candus bringing her to that house. Tennessee is a mandated reporter state. Allie said that. And can we say that if that was true, that she'd get in trouble for that? I mean, make it make sense. That's why I believe that Candus was searching for attention when she took Summer to Allie's house. In my opinion, in my opinion, I want to say that I pray Summer didn't get into any drugs. She was supposedly like 3, right? But maybe Candus thought she did, and Allie said that Summer was crying and upset and shaking, and by what we've been told about Candus and her freaking bullshit, in my opinion, could Candus have made Summer upset and scared her in a way that maybe her actions when she was taken to Allie's was more because of that? I wanna believe that. That's what I want to believe. Just Allie telling about it on here should get her arrested for not reporting. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Jody Sue, look what she said to Don. Beating on your kids and allegedly beating on your kids and leaving bruises. Why didn't she call anybody? She's a snitch, right? Isn't she a snitch? Do I need to say in my opinion and allegedly? But she wouldn't snitch on something like that had to do with knowing children were being abused. And let me tell you, my channel is opinions and theories with no repercussions. I commentate and try to educate. Some things are alleged, trigger warning when needed, sometimes entertaining, and let's not forget about fair use. And I always do try to say that because I don't need anybody coming after me for anything that I say. Candus could have, but they are so careless. I can see it happening also. Yeah, I mean, what would she have done if Summer would have passed on at that time? That would be horrible. That would be horrible. They just need to fucking tell us, in my opinion, what really happened. You know, do you think it would have made a difference to us in Summer's case if from the beginning Candus would have admitted to being a shit parent? If Candus would have said, look, I was not a good parent, but I loved my child and didn't want to see any harm come to her, would that have made us feel different about Candus? Would it have? If she would have done that from the beginning, if Don Wells would have just kept his mouth shut and didn't tell us how allegedly, in my opinion, he's an addict, a drug addict, also a confessing to dealing, right? Confessing to basically being a SO. And I'm not just talking about with his stepsisters. He basically admitted, and I'll say allegedly, just to cover my ass, to picking up a 14-year-old, taking said 14-year-old home like he was doing this godly thing, taking her home, and talked about an old lady doing crack, couple of little boys doing crack, and the 14-year-old doing crack. So in my opinion, Don probably is the one, and this is my opinion, gave him the crack. That's just my opinion on that. Candus sits back and is loving every ounce of attention she's getting. She probably thought that she had the best man in the world when Jose was there. She probably loved that attention that Jose gave her. Loved that attention. But there's something about Don that Candus, for some reason, cannot walk away from. We don't really think about Don walking away from Candus because he goes out and gets prostitutes and was going to leave Candus for, we know who that is, right? And I've got a question for you guys, and not, I guess, because I really give a shit, but do you think that a man would divorce his wife to go be with somebody that he never allegedly met, right? Do you, because he said at the beginning it was just an emotional thing. So if he was going to divorce Candus for we know who, right? I have to sit back and wonder if they've met before. Why would you divorce your wife for somebody who you supposedly ain't never seen before? I also have a name for said person that nobody's ever mentioned, that I picked up on many months ago. And I've never put it out there just because I'm not going to dox her. You know, I've always said I think it's stupid people want to know what she looks like, but, you know, I'm not going to dox her. So, I will finish this off. I do believe he did something with his child already. I don't think she was just at risk. The language and actions are all there. Exactly. At least Jose realized he should have turned them in. He cried because of how bad he felt that he didn't. He has made Summer known. He did. That's one thing I will say about Jose. He is the first one who really gave us any insight into Summer. He is the one who did that. And I was always so appreciative of him for doing that. And I think also that if Candus would have kept that restraining order when he was done on his fishing boat or wherever the fuck he was, that he would have came back to be around Candus. I believe that. I really do. He did show actual feelings about Summer. Do we know if that's why he possibly ended up taking his own life? Good possibility. I mean, he was pretty devastated that he didn't do more. And I think he should have done more. The restraining order, I mean, we saw what it said on that restraining order. I don't think I have it on my watch list, but Candus told authorities that she was scared, and she was scared for her children. What gets me is Don saying that Candus apologized to him. What kind of shit is that? If you're afraid for yourself and your children that he's going to harm you or those children, why would you be the one going into court to a judge, telling that judge that you made all that shit up? It didn't happen the way that you said it happened. Now, Candus brings in strangers and isn't charged with endangerment either, but it's okay to blame them all too. What the hell is wrong here? Lori, this is my hope that just because their asses are on YouTube right now, flapping their fucking jaws, being dumbasses, showing the world what fucked up people they are, that their time is coming. I truly want to believe that. Their time will come. And I've said this before. If people want to enable these two suspects and they want to say that they care about Summer and what could have possibly happened to Summer, how can you do that? How can you enable two parents who are still suspects in their missing daughter's case? You're giving them money. You're backing them up 100%. You're telling people who don't like Don and Candus that they're fucking idiots. However, right? when Dudley saw Summer in that car wreck at Dollar General where the ambulance took Randus off with Summer hurt. I never heard that Summer was hurt, Cornbread, in that. And if you want my opinion on that, that was to get medication, we'll put it like that. If it wouldn't have been Grandma going, it probably would have been Candace. So, you know, if Summer was hurt and didn't go to the hospital, I can see that. But it had to be Candace or Grandma because they're older and they would have got the drugs, right? They would have got the pain medication. They would have got, you know, something to keep them going for a few days or whatever. That's just my opinion on that. That is my opinion on that. All right, you guys, I'm almost at 3 hours, so I was going to go over the marriage license again really quick. The marriage license that the creator put out, I believe last night, that has the date 2022, is a copy of the original marriage license. So I don't know why it was put out there. I have both of them. I guess I can show them again real quick. Hang on to my low budget shit here. I think I've got, is that on my watch later or my clips? All right, this is the original. All right, let me come back over. I want to make sure I do it right this time. All right, this is the original. Hang tight with me, y'all. This is the original marriage license.
And so forth and so on.
Okay, this one is, okay, that's who did the marriage. What the fuck is this? Oh, that's the pastor and stuff. All right, this was in 2013. 9th day of October, 2013 is this marriage license. And this isn't even, what the fuck is this? I don't even know who marriage license that is. It's Carefree, that Lake Blank. Who the fuck? I don't know. That don't make any sense there. I guess I should have looked at that a little bit better. All right, let me come back. Now this is the copy.
I can understand why you did that, Jinkies.
Oh, shut up talking about Jinkies. This is the copy right here. And you'll see the date right here, 25th of April, 2022. Okay. That is a copy. And to prove my point even more, okay, yeah, hang on, Lori, I'll give it to you, honey. All right, I'm going to pull this up, even though I didn't want to. Here we go. And I am going to say, for a fact, that I'm using this video for fair use. All right. How do I want to do this? All right. This video is being used for fair use. This was put out 8 months ago. And I really wasn't going to use this. But like I said, fair use, fair use, fair use. Commercial.
evidently technology has taken over. It is not the human error that I thought it was. Normally, when you go to a courthouse and you request a copy of your marriage license or a copy of any legal document, you get a copy of the original document and how it was printed the day you received it. Now go check your own marriage license.
No, I don't want to, lady. You know why I don't want to? Because I don't like you, lady. Now, that's a copy. That was gotten by a different creator, that was sent to another creator, that was sent to this person. Whoop, whoop. So, did I lie? Did I lie when I told that story about this license and how I felt about it and was saying what is the end result that you want to happen here? Right? They are used commentary, educating, right? I wasn't lying. What is the end result? And obviously, somebody listened to me, didn't they? You heard the words. I do not show that person's content. I don't talk about that person's name. Nada. Nothing over here on this channel about that person. Okay? I would sheet my britches. Now it'd be hilarious if someone knocks on your door in a minute. Well, let me tell you, my dog would let me know. I know her barks. When somebody knocks on the door, I know the difference between the barking that somebody's at the door and the barking that it's the mailman or a freaking squirrel. And I'm little enough, I can get out my bedroom window. But I use that as fair use. So that way I could show you guys the, you know, the original one there. Okay? So, or not the original. That was the copy that I just showed you. The original is out there. And like I said, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, yeah, 2016 or something like that. Yeah, I am on the first floor. I don't have steps. But I ain't lying. I don't have anything I have to lie about, for sure. You know, I could even say a few other things that, you know, certain creators should watch who they have on their panel. If you are a creator who says that you don't allow pedophiles, or not pedophiles, I shouldn't say that. How about someone who was accused of it to be on your panel? How does that work out? How does that work out? Right? I understand that you have, you know, people do have a lot of different people come up on their panel. But if it's somebody that you have up there continuously, that it seems like you have a friendly relationship with, and no, I am not talking about, you know, a certain person. I'm not talking about Lisa, let's put it like that. I ain't talking about Lisa at all. But if you have somebody who was accused of it at one time, I'm sorry, but even if I had a little inkling that even if it wasn't true, that someone was accused of something like that, your ass ain't coming up on my panel. And I wouldn't want you in my fucking chat either. Right? At all. That's who called into the show last night. Ha! I don't know. I didn't watch the show. I did not watch the show. But why would she have to call in? She's on panel all the time. Right? I don't know. I mean, that's an undeniable person. For sure. But I ain't saying the person's name, and I ain't saying what creator I'm talking about, okay? At all. But I just think if you're, it just astounds me how somebody like that can be so involved in a 5-year-old missing girl's case. Right? Well, the reason that could be is because of a little situation the other day. And I know a woman named Margaret who would be glad to come on my panel and tell exactly what the fuck went down. And, you know, I'm tired of basically getting picked on. And it will fucking happen if I don't get left alone. You know, it's bullshit. I get tired of it. I'm loving this ragu, parmesan, and romano flavor. Add some goodies in with it. Birdie, you eating spaghetti? Are you eating that spaghetti, are you? All right, I'm going to go eat too. I appreciate you all. I really do. But I've been on here 3 hours. So I know we covered a lot of stuff today. And, you know, if I see something that I really think it's important to put it out there so people are aware of some of the things that are going on in the world right now. Can I suggest how we fix it? No, I can't. I don't know. Oh, here, Lori, I'll put my email in right now. I really don't know. I wish I knew how we could do it. I've been wanting my daughter who lives in Ohio to, there you go, Lori. I've been wanting my daughter from Ohio to move back here just because, I mean, things in Ohio isn't looking real good in a lot of different ways. So, and, you know, when I talk about my life, it's very truthful. I just don't have anything to hide, you know, at all. But I think that the world is just, you know, I'm sure that when we were younger, this stuff happened. But we didn't hear about it. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't have social media, right? I didn't even have a cell phone when I went to high school. I can't even remember when I actually did get a cell phone for the first time. We didn't hear about it. The ones who knew about it were living it. But these children are being taken just off the streets. These teenagers who want to grow up so much are being groomed and used, not only by strangers, but sometimes in their own homes where they're supposed to be safe. And, you know, I've got a few stories where infants are involved, but I will not talk about those. It's hard enough for me to talk about children, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And I have trouble talking about all of them, but you know, these infants, I have a hard time talking about it. I really do. But there are some people doing some very horrendous things out there to our kids. And you know, when my granddaughter gets old enough, see, that's hard for me. How old is old enough to, we try to teach them stranger danger, right? And it's not enough. Now, I remember when they, you know, started the say no to drugs and stuff in school. I just feel like that maybe if they wait until, you know, the first year of high school or whatever, but we need to teach even boys. We need to teach these girls and boys that just because someone tells you you're beautiful and offers to spend a bunch of money on you, or you get online and start talking to someone who you think is your age and they're cute, and, you know, after grooming these girls for 6 months, then it's, you know, can we meet somewhere? And it doesn't end up being any good. So somewhere along the line, now I know for a fact my daughter, with my 10-year-old granddaughter, she watches everything that my granddaughter does online. And if there's one thing said that's inappropriate, my daughter's on there lighting somebody's ass up. You better believe it. So, yeah, you have to watch them. But a lot of parents today use social media to basically babysit their children. And you do talk to them, but to what extent do you go? Do you start out stranger danger when they're younger, right? And you definitely have to tell them that if, like, someone comes up to them when they're really young and says, "Oh, I've got a cute puppy who's missing. Will you help me go find him?" Even though I watched a documentary, and this has been quite a few years ago, and what they did was, these parents who said, "I've taught my kid stranger danger," that, you know, they won't talk to a stranger or whatever. So they did an experiment, and a man went up to these kids with the parents knowing, thank God, and talked about losing a puppy and things like that. These children went with that man, even after the parents said, "Oh, I've talked to my child. My child knows stranger danger." And that wasn't the case, especially when you've got young children who love dogs and different things like that. So, and let me tell you something. This is true life. If a child lives in a low-income house and doesn't get treats or things like that, what a stranger could go up to them and say, "Wow, you know, there's some ice cream around the corner. You want to come with me and I'll get you a really big ice cream?" possibility of that child going is really high. Really high. So I was not age appropriate, but emotionally appropriate. Well, that was me. I mean, let me tell you, I had daddy issues. I admit that. I had big time daddy issues. I really think that, when I went to live with my dad, the first comment he made was, well, I don't know how this is going to work because I don't know how to raise a girl. And he had 4 of us, okay? He had 4 daughters and 1 son. I was the baby. I was the only one that didn't have anywhere to go. And that is what he said to me. Luckily, he married my stepmother, and they were together like 40 years, so she was a godsend for me. She really was. But, yeah, some kids just, but it scares me with my daughter even living in Ohio because of what, the high rate of the missing kids and stuff. It terrifies me. It really does. So, all right, I'm off here, you guys. I got to go eat. I appreciate you all very much. Thank you, Lori, for sharing your story. That meant a lot that you felt comfortable enough to do it over here with us. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Eve. You're great. So, did you get my email, Lori? Did you write it down? So, hey, Lucy Cat, behave yourself or not. Like I say, like I always say, it don't cost a dime to be kind. If you think you need to get feisty, you go right ahead and get feisty. And I appreciate you all so much. No, you didn't derail the live, Lori. Don't ever think that. Don't ever think that. For sure. Yeah. Who, you, Lucy Cat? Thank you, Birdie. I appreciate you coming in. Everybody, make sure you go watch Birdie's Crime Chat. Very, very interesting. Don't forget Lip Locked. Watch her. I don't know if we had any other creators in chat, but if y'all seen one, make sure to watch them. All right, girlies, I'm going to get off here. Thank you, Lisa Cat. Thank you, Eve, for being so supportive. I appreciate you guys so much. I really, really, really do. All right, you got my email. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, please feel free to use it. Anything that you email me is between us, will not be repeated. If I get an address, then after I send you what I need to send you, I delete your address off of my computer. Anyone who calls me on my phone, those conversations are always left. I don't, I guess I'm kind of weird because I do not record phone calls. And I kept 2 people's text. And the only reason I did that was because basically, in my opinion, they ended up being some dirty motherfuckers. And I thought, you're going to keep recordings of our conversations and you're going to keep text. Well, I kept a couple texts, if you know what I mean. Probably never use them. I don't have any desire to use them. Actually, since I mentioned it, I'll probably go ahead and delete them off. So, all right. Peace out, everybody. Have a good night. You guys go out there and you slay the YouTube world tonight. All right. Thank you again, Lori. I appreciate you. All right, girls. Later. Peace out.